We are live.
Hey, I am Old New Dude, and he is
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son, and we're doing Lemon Gate stuff, or
again.
whatever else we come up with, or whatever
Yep,
else we
yep.
come up
Hey,
with.
all fair use laws are in effect. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't read the books, you're in the wrong place. Um, we were riding yesterday, the day before, I can't remember. But King Christopher Mudd, that's on here in the comments, is my son. And he was telling me about the Stargarian that was um the daughter
Oh yeah,
of Queen
yeah.
Alison, and I'm like, okay, well, that's uh, if she's the mother of Viserys and Daemon, then it's her bloodline that takes us all the way to Aegon the Unlikely, that takes us all the way to Rhaegar, even if
Rhaegar,
he's not his biological father's or his father's biological
because his
son. He's still
mother's his mother is yeah. Rhaella is still
it's still the
Rhaella,
same.
right?
It's still, which, if the gene theory is correct, and I believe it is the more important of the two parents, anyways.
Speaking of,
Um, Hey, so we already had a Song of Ice and Fire. We had
um,
her.
okay, okay.
So the union between Rhaegar and Lyanna is producing another Song of Ice and Fire. And if it's only one child, and George likes to repeat, um, wouldn't it? I mean, wouldn't your money be on? Yeah, A plus A equals A. Wouldn't your money be on that if it was a woman that was the Song of Ice and Fire, the Stargarian in the past through the same bloodline? It's potentially another woman, right? Maybe.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I just I didn't. I don't
There's a
read Fire
there's a
Blood. I
there,
didn't know
there's a
anything about it.
there is a um I don't remember there being an actual marriage of the Starks into the family. I remember there being
They didn't
a
marry. It was
the
the
bastard.
Queen Alison
Yeah,
when she went north. Her and the other guy,
yeah,
or the
yeah.
king, weren't talking, and there was a rumored affair between the Lord of Winterfell at that time. She comes back, and with the very next
Oh,
year after she
okay,
was in the
okay, okay.
North,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this,
yeah. Yep.
this girl is
What?
born. She has sandy blonde hair,
Right, right, right,
uh,
right, 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 right.
one black
Okay,
eye, one green
okay. I see what
eye,
you're saying. I see what you're saying.
or one dark purple eye, one green eye. She has a long face. She's a
You're saying,
tomboy. She had a
yeah,
broken
yeah.
nose.
There's definitely a lot of clues that for most of their marriage that Jaehaerys and Alysanne were not together, and and so she has lots of children, despite the fact that she's basically never with her husband, and um and so if there's a lot of Targaryen bastards running around in King's Landing, it seems like a lot of them could be from Jaehaerys, right? Because we know that she wasn't there and that he was, and that they were estranged and separated. Um,
Right.
so, so it makes a lot of sense that yes, that the trueborn children aren't really trueborn, and that and that the dragon seeds, or some of them, might actually be Jaehaerys's dragon seeds, right? Because I mean, even if you believe that he
Well,
did father all of his official children, that means while being while being hardly ever with Alysanne, because they were separated at least twice for extended periods of time during her fertile
yeah,
years,
they did their own little tour of the Seven Kingdoms
then
separately.
then that guy liked to fuck, obviously. So anyway,
Don't don't sugarcoat it or code it where people won't
yeah,
understand what you're
yeah.
saying. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
anyway,
I just thought if Stark and Targaryen blood is so magical, then we already had it.
okay.
I
Um,
I I, I don't read Fire and Blood. I don't
well,
know a lot of the
there's
dragon stuff.
there's
So when he
also
told me that, I was
there's
like, my
also
ears perked up. I love it.
the other thing that's in there is there's this concept that I can't remember whether it's Luke or Jace. Which one goes to Winterfell? Is it Luke or Jace?
Jace.
Okay, Jace goes to Winterfell, and everybody writes off this. Right. Everybody writes off the fact that he supposedly got married to this northern bastard because he didn't want to disrespect her and he got her pregnant, and yeah, he was already. And they're like, well, he would never do that because he was already promised for. And it's like,
yeah. I mean, he's a cross between Jon Snow and Robb Stark. Okay.
And Ned.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
I mean, Trish was like, in this in this show, especially this season, we got the perfect Robb Stark and Jon Snow in Oliver Tully, which would look like the correct age for Robb Stark in the books, and then we had Jace, was a perfect stand-in for Jon Snow. So hopefully those two actors go on to do good things.
Anyway, Maester Kenobi, just Jaehaerys. Yeah. So we got to that one. We didn't get to this one yet. Hey guys, did you all get to know about the Mad King play? It has some canon info. Well, that's debatable, but it has some. I mean, yes, it certainly does have some canon info. So we heartily endorse, even though we don't always agree with Moonman, we heartily endorse his video on the Mad King play.
Right.
And
to put it in a nutshell, it is there are more show watchers than there are book readers. So they wrote the play to basically not alienate the show watchers. And then when they got George's input, it was to, all right, this is what we're going to do. Do you have any things that you think would help us get to this point?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he sprinkled a couple of things here and there that are actually book canon, but the theory is that most of it is show canon.
Well, and yet still you can see some things shining through there. Like, for example, this idea that maybe there were 3 children conceived at the same time, where the third one was the prince that was promised, right? Is in there if you pay attention to what they're saying there.
3 children conceived, but they're all by the same 2 people, and we're all born on the same
3
day.
people. Or 3 people. Let's give Toodles a shout out. Or they're children of 3, right? They're conceived by 3 people. Yeah, right.
I've never heard that name on this channel. But yeah, I mean, until I see it in When's the Winter, A Dream of Spring, I know everybody's like, oh, it's those theorists on YouTube. They're just clinging to whatever lifeboat they can have. Nah. That's fine. You say it all about me you want. It's okay.
Yeah. Good day, good people.
Hey, Baylor.
Let's see what else we got here.
I'm talking about the
Fire & Blood is really good. I don't know if it's really good. It has some interesting things in it. It's worth knowing about. It's worth to read.
It's been sitting here beside me since season 1. Okay, and
you just can't get into it. I know.
No, I mean, I'll try again.
It's so
between now and the next season.
Well, just thinking about what he's doing and how he's trying to he's trying to give hints at what's really going on while also confusing issues and things, and you're familiar with the graduation speech, "This is Water." It's by the Infinite Jest guy. What's his name? Anyway. Anyway, I forget the guy's name, but he actually how does Guy like to phrase it? He doesn't like to use certain words in YouTube videos that he thinks can be upsetting to people with particular mental health issues. So he unaliving himself or something. I can't remember. Anyway, if you hear the speech, it's obviously being written by somebody who has those tendencies. And it's a great speech. It's called "This is Water." It's about how fish don't notice that they're the water because it's all around them, and how you don't notice. Sometimes you don't take the time to notice your life because you're too busy swimming. And
I'm looking for a speech so I can write it down. I want to hear the speech.
This is water.
This is water.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yes, I wrote down
really
3 words because my memory sucks so bad by the time we get done. 10 minutes from now, I won't remember what you
anyway.
just said.
Anyway, he the concept. This is water, right? It's you miss life because you're too busy swimming through it, right? And don't take the time to appreciate what's around you and so forth. Well, people ask, well, with Fire and Blood, I've heard people say, "What do you mean? It's a green, it's green propaganda. What do you mean it's green propaganda and green bias? I don't see it. What do you mean it's green bias? What do you mean it's green propaganda? Yeah, this is water. You're in a story that's being written as green propaganda so thoroughly that you don't even notice that's green propaganda. But
I mean, we're strictly told in the books that the histories are written by the winners.
yeah, well, the histories are written by the maesters. The maesters are on the green side. So
Yeah.
anyway, the point is, so hysterical was it hysterical function? No,
If you believe the Matrix
God.
conspiracy, if you believe the Matrix
The
conspiracy,
show is black cop propaganda. Yeah, that's true too. Well, actually, no, it's got a lot of the green propaganda within it. So, but it's anyway. The point is that the Coconut God and eventually Preston Jacobs have said that there is a way to read Fire and Blood where what was actually going on, and it arguably makes much more sense, is that the children were true-born Baratheon-haired children, and that that if you understand that pug noses do not show up in males until they're like 17 years old or so. I'm sorry, that aquiline noses look like pug noses until a male is somewhere around the age of 17-ish. Then, and you understand that the children should have Baratheon dark hair if they're true-born. Then, and you look at the what's being written and who's reliable and who's telling you what at the lower level of the 3 original historians, and then you look at the historian that is writing this being green propaganda, and then you can interpret it that way and be like, oh, that's not that you can't interpret it other ways too. Absolutely, and George loves ambiguity, but
on the nose thing, all right, is that because the nose is just continually growing and the further it goes,
it doesn't develop. You don't really develop an aquiline nose until latent puberty.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean,
so especially for males.
Stopped growing. I mean, I used to have such a cute little nose when I was younger. It was great, and then now it's just there.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how many times you try. You're never going to have a child that looks like you. Anyway, so where were we here?
On the Baratheon thing. Okay, Jace's grandmother on his father's side was the queen that never was, the one that has the Baratheon blood, correct?
Right. Correct.
And
she in the book, her hair is black with like a streak of silver silver gold or whatever. But yeah.
So she marries Corlys Velaryon, and their son is silver haired like Corlys Velaryon, right?
Not necessarily. That's the point.
Oh, we're not told.
That is never said. That is never said. That is never said by any of the source materials. It's implied that he must have had silver gold hair by the author who doesn't know anything, who's assembling the things. But it's only implied because he says it's not even implied. He doesn't even say that. What he said was because the children didn't have Rhaenyra's silver gold hair, they must have been bastards, basically. That's what he says, right? But he never ever says anything about Lenore's. Nor does he mention that the Strongs have blonde hair.
Right. Dissect that sentence, okay? If the children didn't have their mother's silver gold
but
hair,
he was that interview was disgusting. Was after they'd already started writing and filming the show, so it's not at all clear that that's a comment on the book. Master
right.
Kenobi.
But it would be because the children didn't have the mother and the father's silver gold hair. Then we can take. Okay, they both
And
got silver gold hair.
I believe
The
George
only one-
will verify any theory that is ambiguously true. I believe that he will that he would that if George tells you that it acts as if your theory was correct, that's because it's ambiguously true, not that it's absolutely true. That's my opinion, but that's my belief firmly is that George confirming a theory does not mean that the opposite is not also true. Because the point of an ambiguous work is that you have multiple truths. Even guys, Christine says so. So I want to be clear about that. Even George confirming a theory doesn't disprove the opposite of that theory.
Right. George is not going to lay the foundations in reinforced cement to never be changed or never be different. His foundation is the river that flows around the.
I think
It is fluid. It
you get a
takes
call or something.
branches. I had a phone call trying to call in. The reason I was asking about the hair color is my theory that just like the Robert's Rebellion was based on a lie. I think my camera's glitching too. That from Maggie the Frog, she tells Cersei she's going to have 3 children, and the king's going to have 16 or 20, depending on which source you're listening to. And that doesn't say that the 3 that Cersei has are not actually Robert's children. So, and they looked up Baratheon and Lannister, Baratheon and the blonde hair, but they didn't look up Baratheon and Targaryen. And if the theory is correct, and Cersei is actually a Targaryen because her father is a Targaryen, and your bloodline is based on who your father is first,
and it is worth noting that the queen that never was did not have pure black hair. She had a streak of right,
just like
she had a streak, and so
had the silver streak. But
so it's not as clear.
Yeah. So I still like the theory that Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella are actually Robert's children. It's just that they, with the Targaryen blood, overpowered the Baratheon blood.
Right. The chosen pretender. This is the theory that this theory is simply as above said. Dany's just some random girl, or this is of course what Preston subscribes to, from some random who happened
to look.
Next time
I see Preston, me and him have a talk.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, if you went through his Page of Lies stuff, he said, well, so it's possible that Dany is just somebody they decided as a fake, right? So this is basically Preston's favorite theory, which this is not right.
About half the stuff anyways, though, right?
Yeah, he always says I'm probably wrong about half the stuff. Anyway,
yeah. Well, that's the half right there he's wrong about.
Sounds good. This theory is simply as the above said. Dany's just some random girl from some random whoever.
Random girl that they picked up, threw into this mix. It just happens to be a dragon hatcher.
Yeah, I know it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I know, and anyway, no, it doesn't make any sense. And it has visions of wolves and who. Oh, by the way, there's this cliche of an animal that wears white fur. And part of Dany's symbolism is that she wears this white furred lion skin, right? Isn't there some cliche about an animal that wears white fur? What's the name of that? What's that called? It's called what's sheep's clothing? I can't quite think of it. Anyway, yeah, she has a vision of a great.
All this.
Yeah, she has a vision of it. Yeah, wait, we don't need to do our version of this. We're reading through, and he's mostly just saying that this is one possibility, and I think he mostly dismisses it. But let's see what he says here.
We don't do a whole lot of theory bashing on here, so when we try.
But you do not like this one. But you do not like this one. This Dany just randomly is the right person to hatch the eggs. Anyway. Danny's just some
Rain,
random girl from
Rainier.
some. Yeah, I get you're offended by this theory, and I don't blame you. Danny's just some random girl from some random whoever's who happened to look like a Valerian, so she was adopted to serve as the replacement to the real Daenerys Targaryen after she died. However that was. First and foremost, there's the possible Illyrio connection, which of course I do love our version of the Illyrio connection, which is that he was he was young and virile when he saw Danny in the flames, and the first time he saw her was in the flames. But anyway,
That was my favorite part of that episode
that
of that
last
live
yeah
stream
that
was
last
that
last week's live stream on
Illyrio
this.
is versed in lore and the Red Priest and saw Danny in a vision from the future, and that's when he got his bed slave.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that he saw her not at 13 when she's with him, but 2 years later or 3 years later, however it is,
that's the
when
mother of dragons.
it's
Yeah.
still sick. That's how he knew she was going to
Yes.
have dragons. But it's
Yeah.
still kind of sick of her age is still not an adult. But that's when he saw her. She's older, curvier, as gross as that is, and then that's when he did what he did with his bed slave. So I love that idea.
Yep.
That was without doubt my favorite part of the last live stream.
Absolutely. As we previously covered, Illyrio seems to have been working at a Danny plan for a long time, and this theory works the best with that idea, as Danny comes out and says that Illyrio is a slave trader, something which is supposedly illegal in Pentos. Danny said nothing. Magister Illyrio was a dealer in spices, gemstones, dragonbone, and other, less savory things. He had friends in all of the 9 free cities, it was said, and even beyond, in Bastilthrak and the fabled lands beside the Jade Sea. It was also said that he'd never had a friend he wouldn't cheerfully sell for the right price. Danny listened to the talk in the streets, and she heard these things, but she knew better than to question her brother when he wove his webs of dream. His anger
That's
was
something I don't understand. If she is basically sequestered to the mace or manse or whatever it's called, how does she hear the talk on the streets?
Yeah, a lot of people wondered this about some of the things she says here, is because it sure seems like she's hearing things, she's walking around.
She pulling the Arya and sneaking out.
Maybe we know that that in the past she's had maybe it's the talk in the streets before they got to the manse. Maybe we know that she's been in the different free cities, and she's been to the bazaars, and she knows the difference between them no matter what what is it, what's the name of it? Is it green blood? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, the one who thinks that she's born in Pentos.
That sounds, I think that sounds about right, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, his anger was a terrible thing when roused. Sarah's call. Oh, it's great. It's great videos. I just think he's reassigned a lot of the Pyros evidence to Pentos, and that you don't need to do that. His anger was a terrible thing when roused. Viserys called it waking the dragon. There came a soft knock on her door. Come, Danny said, turning away from the window. Illyrio's servants entered, bowed, and set about their business. They were slaves, a gift from one of the Magister's many Dothraki friends. There was no slavery in the free city of Pentos. Nonetheless, they were slaves. The old woman, small and gray as a mouse, never said a word, but the girl made up for it. She was Illyrio's favorite, a fair-haired, blue-eyed wench of 16 who chattered constantly as she worked. And furthermore, we know that Illyrio specifically has dealt in Lyseni slaves before with his wife Sarah, and the Lyseni slaves are noted as resembling Valyrians the most of anybody on the planet because they're specifically bred to. Maiden? I know the way of that. Illyrio thrust his right hand up his left sleeve and drew out a silver locket. Inside was the painted likeness of a woman with big blue eyes and pale golden hair streaked by silver. Sarah. I found her in the Lysene pillow house and brought her home to warm my bed, but in the end I wed her. Me, whose first wife had been a cousin of the Prince of Pentos. The palace gates were closed to me thereafter, but I did not care. The price was small enough for Sarah. The Lyseni are also great breeders of slaves, mating beauty with beauty in hopes of producing ever more refined and lovely courtesans and bed slaves. The blood of Valyria still runs strong in Lys, where even the small folk oft boast pale skin, silver gold hair, and the purple, lilac, and pale blue eyes of the dragon lords of old. The Lysene nobility values purity of blood above all and have produced many famous and infamous beauties. Even the Targaryen kings and princes of old sometimes turned to Lys in search of wives and paramours, for their blood is for their beauty. Aptly, Many Liceni worship a love goddess whose naked, wanton figure graces their coinage.
I
So
got a
Illyria,
question. All right, she has the pale silver blonde hair, but she has blue eyes. If Fagon is her son, was the lilac, which it is a lighter lilac than Rhaegar's, but was that a recessive that popped up, or is there a possible explanation
I don't think
on
that
how
people have
he
thought
got?
it through or explained it.
What's that?
I don't know that I've ever seen anybody think through or explain that theory.
Okay, this is
I mean, I've
I
seen
have
lots of
questions.
people explain the theory that
Yeah,
that he's Sarah's son. But
yeah.
anyway,
It's Sarah and
Illyrio,
Illyria.
yeah,
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 my tongue.
Sarah and Illyrio's
Yeah.
son.
I mean, I like the theory. I like because I mean, why else bring up the Blackfires over and over again through the story, especially throughout Dunk and Egg, if it's not going to have a payoff. That's like talking about NASCAR every fifth page in the book, and then there's no payoff for NASCAR in the
It's
book.
weird that he took the sword out of the text and hasn't ever had it in the text at all. Right? There's no mention of a sword, and when Rob and Kat are discussing the Blackfires, or when anybody's discussing the Blackfires, they never discuss this. I mean, in Duck and Egg there is, right? But
Right.
in Duck and Egg, I mean, Sir Eustace specifically says, and he was given the sword, so he must have been right.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming it's what 90 years or whatever it is, 70 years. It's been so long since somebody has seen the sword that people kind of forgot about it.
I guess. So Illyrio knows how to buy and trade slaves, and has experience with Atheni ones who resemble Valerians. So it wouldn't be a surprise at all if he bought and traded Dany to Viserys in the first place. He can indeed get a girl who could look like she was the real Daenerys Targaryen. And this would then make sense of a few other things then. First and foremost among them being that Dany has never worn very nice clothes before, and that Dany instead wishes for tatters and a simple life and finds herself so at ease in Dothraki rough garments. Dany touched it. Her cloth was so smooth that it seemed to run through her fingers like water. She could not remember ever wearing anything so soft. It frightened her. She pulled her hand away. Is it really mine? Hey, deck of cards.
Hey, deck cards.
Oops. Oh wow. We got
What?
delete comments and put user in timeout and stuff. I'm down here now. Oh, nice. Anyway.
Well, I can't wait to use it. No, I'm just kidding. I've always had it on my side.
Oh, okay. Maybe Chris promoted me to mod or something.
I don't know.
When he was gone, Danny went to her window and looked out wistfully on the waters of the bay. The square brick towers of Pentos were black silhouettes outlined against the setting sun. Danny could hear the singing of the red priests as they lit their night fires and the shouts of ragged children playing games beyond the walls of the estate. For a moment, she wished she could be out there with them, barefoot and breathless and dressed in tatters, with no past and no future and no feast to attend at Khal Drogo's manse. What is it? She cried as Eerie shook her gently by the shoulder. It was the black of night outside. Something is wrong, she knew at once. Is it Dario? What's happened? In her dream, they'd been man and wife, simple folk who lived a simple life in a tall stone house with a red door. In her dream, he'd been kissing her all over, her mouth, her neck, her breasts. Cerys came upon her as sudden as the summer storm, his horse rearing beneath him as he reined up too hard. You dare! He screamed at her. You give commands to me? To me? He vaulted off the horse, stumbling as he landed. His face was flushed as he struggled back to his feet. He grabbed her, shook her. Have you forgotten who you are? Look at you! Look at you! Betty did not need to look. She was barefoot with oiled hair, wearing Dothraki riding leathers and a painted vest given her as a bride gift. She looked as though she belonged here. Viserys was soiled and stained in city silks and ringmail. Credit must go to user Lady Diana for pointing this out, but Danny's pretty much sold to Drogo, even right down to being collared and presented to him as the stories say his own slaves are. Yeah, that's true. The old woman washed her long silver pale hair and gently combed out the snags, all in silence. The girl scrubbed her back and her feet and told her how lucky she was. Drogo is so rich that even his slaves wear golden collars. 100,000 men ride in his Khalasar, and his palace in Vaistalthrak has 200 rooms and doors of solid silver. It was more like that, so much more. What a handsome man the cow was, so tall and fierce, fearless in battle, the best rider ever to mount a horse, a demon archer. Daenerys said nothing. She'd always assumed that she would wed Viserys when she came of age. Yes, the golden collar. When she was clean, the slaves helped her from the water and towed her dry. The girl brushed her hair until it shone like molten silver, while the old woman anointed her with the spice flower perfume of the Dothraki plains, a
Give you
dab on
my
each
take
wrist.
real quick.
Sorry?
All right. We think it's Val, a male, which we think is Jon Snow, and then Daenerys born at the Tower of Joy. All right. Val is the warrior. All right. Daenerys is not, but there is a part that a lot of the stuff that Daenerys does, Dany does, especially with the number of names she has, is a reminder of Arya. Okay.
Sure.
In my mind.
Right.
So, um, what do
The
you
fact that
think,
she's
Val?
the fact that
If
she's
we're correct,
comfortable.
yeah, if we're correct, and Val is who we think she is, and she had the silver gold hair and was put in Daenerys's place, um, if she had the same temperament and all that she has right now, how she would react as the which there's a reason probably she wasn't done because she's probably not a dragon hatcher, she's just a dragon rider. Uh,
Mhm.
but the war aspect of Daenerys' story, I think, would be a complete 180 if Val was the mother of dragons and all that. But I mean, they're well, I
It's
can't say that.
interesting though. It's interesting though that they're both sort of leaders of these barbarian cultures, right? Um,
Right.
which is kind of interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Um, it was just on the top of my head. There's just a lot of imagery from Danny. I just, even though she's a little girl due to all this, and even toward the end of the books when we're getting the comments on Arya on how beautiful she is, I just see a lot of Arya in Danny, not 1-to-1, not 100%. It's there though, especially in our last chapter when she's walking with the torn dress, the messed up hair. Just, I mean, she's not a tomboy, but it just kind of seems tomboyish in that moment.
She's
Uh,
comfortable amongst the. She's comfortable amongst. She knows the words on the street because she's comfortable talking to small folk
that's what
like
yeah,
Arya.
thank you. That's what made me think of it is that she's heard the talk from the small folk because just like Arya, she's
She,
comfortable. It's not because she was a small folk before; it's because she's the Arya in this in that the three heads of the dragon. She's the Arya insert. So she loves the small folk. She gets along with her housemaids, slaves, whatever you want to call them, handmaidens, because that's the Arya thing to do. Is she doesn't see class. She doesn't see to a certain extent the upper and lower. I
yeah,
mean,
the a Visenya or Val is going to be a lot more arrogant about station and where people belong and stuff. Whereas a
even though she's supposed to be a wildling princess, um, yeah, she does have that. Even John saw it at the burning of the fake Mance Raider. Just the air about her is, I mean, just royalty from head to toe. So yeah, sorry, we got off on a tangent there.
no problem.
It popped in my head. I got
I
to.
can skip over the perfume. They dressed her in the wisps that Badged earlier had set up, and then the gown, a deep plum silk to bring out the violet in her eyes. The girl slid the gilded sandals under her feet, while the old woman fixed the tiara in her hair, and slid golden bracelets crusted with amethysts around her wrists. Last of all came the collar, a heavy golden torque, blazoned with ancient Valyrian glyphs. Now you look all a princess, the girl said breathlessly when they were done. Then he glanced at her image in the silvered looking glass that Illyria had so thoughtfully provided. A princess, she thought. But she remembered what the girl had said, how Gal Drogo was so rich even his slaves wore golden collars. She felt a sudden chill, and goose flesh pimpled her bare arms. I know we're meant to associate Arya with the original Nymeria as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Without
I mean, hence her naming her wolf Nymeria. And that always made me think that George could have had two different ideas for Arya, and I think he did have two different ideas for Arya. One is that she'd get the hand of a blacksmith, and of course that blacksmith is introduced in the first book,
Right.
along with the line about her getting the hand of the blacksmith. Because one of the things Nymeria does is she marries, right? But
Mhm.
but it talks about how great she'd be with numbers and managing households and so forth. But also, Nymeria sails west.
Dude, if she married Gendry and was made the Lady of Storm's End, if he was made the Lord, who's running Storm's End? Arya. Gendry ain't gonna
Absolutely,
do nothing. He'd be like,
absolutely.
okay, we get that stubborn look on
She
his
owns
face.
him. Yeah, she owns him. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'll always think of her as the boss.
Yeah.
Danny, it could be argued.
Princess Promise, see my theory.
Danny, it could be argued, is presented to Drogo as a slave, a princess slave, yes, but a slave.
Hey, I know the reason some of this kind of sounds true with Danny not feeling like a princess. She's not. She is the natural daughter of Rhaegar and Lyanna. She is not a princess. She was not legitimized. She is what is it when highborns have
even the slaves want gold collars.
When the highborns have bastards, what is it called?
Baseborn?
Yeah, baseborn. She's baseborn.
Yep.
I think that's the imagery George.
One might even say stormborn.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that he gave her that name to where he could always have a dig.
Yep.
His private little inside joke. He knows
Yeah,
who she.
it could be. Could be.
He might even know she's Rhaegar's daughter, but he knows that she's baseborn. She knows.
And as we said, she is considered stormborn by people in Westeros, but you remind them of that by saying that she was born at the storming of Dragonstone.
Right, but nobody ever mentions the storm itself, other than storming Dragonstone.
Princess slave, yes, but a slave, right down to the collar and being sold to do something she doesn't want to do. And Danny trembles at the thought. A repressed memory, perhaps? But finally, and I suppose possibly more importantly, in my opinion, thematically speaking, the girl who has spent the entire series talking about her right to rule due to who she is and whatnot turning out to be a bastard. Hey, yeah, that's what we're saying. / random person could make sense. But Danny never actually had any right to rule in the first place, that she got so caught up in Viserys' dream. For it's indeed Viserys who dreams of Westeros and the Iron Throne, not Danny. She forgot that it was never hers in the first place. You know what's west of Gibraltar? The Rock and the Song of Ice and Fire? Atlantis. Okay. But I do agree with most who are. Aziz of History of Westeros has talked about how there really was a civilization that sank that they were well aware of, and of course it wasn't called Atlantis. I can't remember what the name of it was, but anyway. But I do agree with most who are probably reading this who will say that Danny being some random girl who happened to look Valyrian might not be the most likely. Now, before we move on to the other two options for Danny's mother, I think we need to first examine who the proposed father is for the next two options, seeing as it will make things much easier to examine them later. Danny's father was Rhaegar Targaryen. Yes, yeah, this is true.
Yeah, we agree.
You're talking about Tartagos. As you command, the knight gave her a curious look. You are your brother's sister, in truth. Viserys? She did not understand. No, he answered. Rhaegar. He galloped off. Now we get an awful lot of Rhaegar dumps in Danny's story. Using a search of iceandfire.com reveals that Rhaegar gets mentioned 44 times in Danny's chapters. By comparison, Ares gets mentioned 5 times. Yes, I can vouch for that. Already there, and by the way, Rhaella gets mentioned twice. Anyway, already there's a whopping disparity that Danny's story focuses on her brother rather than her father, which is odd considering
that doesn't take into consideration every time it said your father, comma, Rhaegar, or whatever.
Yeah, the number of times where it conflates Rhaegar with her father. Yes.
Yeah, and where Ares' name should have been, they put Rhaegar, but it's done in a way where it's
The most blatant of those is when Barristan is talking to her, right? But there's
yes.
some good to be said of my father, surely. Your father and those who came before him, Rhaegar most of all. Yeah. Those who came before him, Rhaegar most of all. Does that make any sense? If you
No.
stop and think about that, only if
Before her
Rhaegar's her father, and the most important answer to her question. But anyway.
Now, Rhaegar did. Never mind, I was going to say something.
By comparison, Aerys gets right. Started focusing on her brother rather than her father, which is odd considering that Dany is trying to succeed her father and climb his Iron Throne, something Rhaegar never did. Dany's trying to follow in Aerys' footsteps, yet it's Rhaegar who gets all the plugs in Dany's story. And they're rather specific plugs that keep drawing her and her story back to Rhaegar. Firstly, there are many plugs where Dany is directly compared to being like Rhaegar was, like the opening quote, as well as the following ones. I am not Viserys. No, he admitted, there's more of Rhaegar in you, I think. But even Rhaegar could be slain. Robert proved that on the Trident, with no more than a warhammer. Even dragons can die. Well, Rhaegar did die before Aerys. Okay, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Just so, she agreed. I think we should attack from three sides. Groem, you and Sully shall strike at them from right and left, while my cows lead my horse and wedge for a thrust through their center. Slave soldiers will never stand before mounted Dothraki. She smiled. To be sure, I'm only a young girl and little of war. What do you think, my lords? I think you are Rhaegar Targaryen's sister, Sir Jorah said with a rueful half-smile. I think you're wrong, Jorah, but anyway. Aye, said Arstan Whitebeard, and a queen as well. If I
the
send the
minute
brazen...
you said that I am just a little girl, you know you're lost. I mean, you got a slam dunk on your ass. Whatever the topic is, you might as well say no problem. Okay.
If I send the brazen beasts into the pyramids, it'll mean open war inside the city. I have to trust in Hisdar. I have to hope for peace. Then he held the parchment above a candle and watched the names go up in flame while Skahas glowered at her. Afterwards, Sebastian told her that her brother Rhaegar would have been proud of her. Then he remembered the words Sir Jorah had spoken at Astapor. Rhaegar fought valiantly. Rhaegar fought nobly. Rhaegar fought honorably. And Rhaegar died. I don't think there's any quote in this series that doesn't get repeated over and over again that gets repeated over and over as many times as that one does. Was Atlantis called that? I mean about the sentence that you used, like example. If I talk about the order of death, it makes sense. Yeah, I know. I get it. I get what you're saying. That right.
Yeah, I agree with deck of cards.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
How many times has deck cards been wrong? I mean, Kirsty deck cards, some of our OGs. I mean, they're pretty damn smart.
Oh yeah, they know this stuff.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't include the question, which is that she's asking about her father in this, right? We just did the quote, right? There's something good to be said about my father, surely. But he reads the answer. There was a city described very similarly, concentric circles near Gibraltar. There is, your grace, of him and those who came before him. Your grandfather Jaehaerys and his brother, their father Aegon, your mother, and Rhaegar, him most of all. Again, you're talking about people who are her father and those who came before him. And yes, you are, in fact, talking about her father and those who came before him in that. You are, but only if you know that Rhaegar is her father. Anyway, him most of all.
Well, it's the same little hope-a-dope he does when, like, Littlefinger confesses, and then afterwards, he's basically just kind of.
Well, it's almost the opposite. He gives the correct answer at the end.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could have known him. Her voice was wistful. I wish he could have known you, the old knight said. When you are ready, I will tell you all. Then there are the ones where she parallels and attempts to parallel his story. Death? Dany wrapped her arms around herself protectively, rocked back and forth in her heels. My death? She told herself she would die for him if she must. She was the blood of the dragon. She would not be afraid. Her brother Rhaegar had died for the woman he loved. Dany melted her silver. She could feel her heart thumping in her chest. She felt desperately afraid. Was this what my brother would have done? She wondered if Prince Rhaegar had been anxious when he saw the usurpers' host formed up across the Trident with all their banners floating on the wind. Side by side, the Queen's procession and his Stars of Lorax made their slow way across Marine, until finally the Temple of the Graces loomed up before them, its golden dome splashing in the sun. How beautiful, the Queen tried to tell herself, but inside her was some foolish little girl who could not help but look about for Dario. If he loved you, he would come and carry you off at sword point, as Rhaegar carried off his northern girl, the girl in her insisted. But the Queen knew that was folly. Even if her captain was mad enough to attempt it, what madness is this? The brazen beast would cut him down before he got within 100 yards of her. Deck of cards. Oh, no, I'm going off the description Plato gives on Atlantis. There are also times when she gets random insights into his life and who he was. Then he turned back to the squire. I know little of Rhaegar, only the tales Viserys told, and he was a little boy when our brother died. What was he truly like? The old man considered a moment. Able, and of course people love that one, that above all, determined, deliberate, dutiful, single-minded. There's a tale told of him, but doubtless Sir Jorah knows it as well. I would hear it from you. As you wish, said Whitebeard. As a young boy, the Prince of Dragonstone was bookish to a fault. He was reading so early that men said Queen Rhaella must have swallowed some books and a candle whilst he was in her womb. Rhaegar took no interest in the play of other children. The maesters were awed by his wits, but his father's knights would jest sourly that Baelor the Blessed had been born again. Until one day, Prince Rhaegar found something in his scrolls that changed him. No one knows what it might have been, only that the boy suddenly appeared early one morning in the yard as the knights were donning their steel. He walked up to Sir Willem Darry, the master-at-arms, and said, I require sword and armor. It seems I must be a warrior. He says Queen Rhaella. He doesn't say, your mother. But anyway. Mm-hmm. Your grace, she corrected. Prince Rhaegar led freemen into battle, not slaves. Whitebeard said he dubbed his squires himself and made many other knights as well. There was no higher honor than to receive your knighthood from the Prince of Dragonstone. Tell me then, when he touched a man on the shoulder with his sword, what did he say? Go forth and kill the weak, or go forth and defend them? At the Trident, those brave men Viserys spoke of who died beneath our dragon banners, did they give their lives because they believed in Rhaegar's cause, or because they had been bought and paid for? Then he turned on to Mormont, crossed her arms, and waited for an answer. My queen, the big man said slowly, all you say is true, but Rhaegar lost on the Trident. He lost the battle. He lost the war. He lost the kingdom, and he lost his life. His blood swirled down river with the rubies from his breastplate, and Robert the Usurper rode over his corpse to steal the Iron Throne. Rhaegar fought valiantly, Rhaegar fought nobly, Rhaegar fought honorably, and Rhaegar died. There's the original. Of course, Danny received some visions of Rhaegar in general. Yes, I do. I do. That's why I was emphasizing it. I know. Just trying to imagine Rhaegar's ego. Wow. Well, one of the things that's amazing to me about him, able equals Mance. Yes, I get it.
Yep.
Just try to.
And there's a way to get to that, and I think it's my very first or very second theory video that Arthur Dayne at the Tower of Joy is not Arthur Dayne. It is Rhaegar Targaryen glamored as Arthur Dayne, because we're told all you need is something that is associated with that person, and what is more associated with Arthur Dayne than his sword.
And then the rubies, and then the rubies on Rhaegar.
Yep, the rubies on the chest were the glamour that made Arthur Dayne glamour as Rhaegar Targaryen. And Arthur is Rhaegar's best friend, who knew him better than anyone. So anybody that would be able to pull off pretending to be Rhaegar would be Arthur. So, I mean, the title of that theory is The Unknown Swap. I'm tooting my own horn there for a second. Sorry.
I got it. Anyway. Of course, Danny received some visions of Rhaegar in general. Rubies flew like drops of blood from the chest of a dying prince, and he sank to his knees in the water, and with his last breath murmured a woman's name. But was Rhaegar worthy of Dawn? Yeah, that's a good question. I think not. Anyway, fair enough.
I don't think he would be able to activate its secret powers.
But Ned was able to carry it, right? Ned was able to carry it, so you could still fight with it.
Yeah, it's not Mjolnir. I mean, pick it up, but to get it to glow white and do the, if it is reading your opponent's thoughts to figure out what their next fighting move is.
Does Ned say it did glow for him?
Well, no, he just said that it had the
No. I
that
mean,
it
when
had,
Ned carries it, not that it glowed when Arthur was fighting with it, but that
I don't,
when Ned
I don't,
carries it, doesn't he say
yeah, I
something
don't,
about it? Him looking at it and it glowing or something? Oh, anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
could go on and let's get many other examples for brevity's sake, but the Rhaegar dumps are just absolutely so hugely fundamental to her story and are just located everywhere within it.
You
Contrarily,
said don't. I thought Night of the Seven Kingdoms, beginning of episode 1.
to be fair, if anybody is worthy, it is Ned. Fair enough.
True.
I could go on. Let's
And
get,
if the Wolf X is a count is equal to the Dragon X, which is equal to the Dane X, then it might have glowed for Ned.
contrarily, that Contrarily, this is the girl who never even found out that her father was actually mad until a storm of swords. Some truths are hard to hear. Robert was a good knight, chivalrous, brave. He spared my life and the lives of many others. Prince Viserys was only a boy. It would have been years before he was fit to rule, and forgive me, my queen, but you asked for truth. Even as a child, your brother Viserys oft seemed to be his father's son in ways that Rhaegar never did. His father's son? Dany frowned. What does that mean? See, there's a nice little hint that Rhaegar might not really be his father's son
Yeah,
right there.
great to say that. Yeah, that's a dig that Rhaegar is not Aerys' son.
The old knight did not blink. Your father is called the Mad King in Westeros. Has no one ever told you? Viserys did. The Mad King. The usurper called him that. The usurper and his dogs. The Mad King. It was a lie. Why ask for truth? Barristan said softly. If you close your ears to it. He hesitated, then continued. I told you before that I used a false name so the Lannisters would not know that I'd joined you. That was less than half of it, Your Grace. The truth is, I wanted to watch you for a time before pledging you my sword, to make certain that you were not my father's daughter. She was not her father's daughter. Who was she? Mad, he finished. I see no taint in you. Yet she knew in A Game of Thrones that Rhaegar was a good guy, the last dragon, yada yada. She learned so much about Rhaegar, and with such consistency and so repeatedly, and so much of her story is directly about him. Really, how can Rhaegar not be her father? Yeah, I challenge you to read only the Dany chapters and come to the conclusion that her father's name is Aerys. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's one of the central characters in her entire story, far more than her actual father ever is. Heck, that last quote literally has in it, if she was not her father's daughter, who was she? I want to focus a bit more of a few rather specific times that Rhaegar comes up in Dany's story, as they're much better at showcasing how Rhaegar is more likely to be her father than her brother. First, there are many times when Dany actually physically sees herself as him. Here we go. That night, she dreamt that she was. I think this is it. Well, maybe not. Or maybe he canceled out the part. Maybe he doesn't go far enough. Anyway, that night she dreamt that she was Rhaegar riding to the Trident. But yeah, this is definitely it. But she was mounted on a dragon, not a horse. When she saw the usurper's rebel host across the river, they were armored all in ice. But she bathed them in dragon fire, and they melted away like dew, and turned the Trident into a torrent. Some small part of her knew that she was dreaming, but another part exulted. This is how it was meant to be. The other was a nightmare, and I've only now awakened. I guess that's not it.
Mm.
No, because she thinks it's Rhaegar when she sees it, and then he opens up his shiny black visor, and it's her own face. So that's okay. First, here we see that Dany relives the Trident, which was, of course, the most pivotal moment of Rhaegar's life, and it was the moment that Rhaegar failed in most. And Dany sees herself win where Rhaegar couldn't. But it's this next instance, Dany once more sees herself as Rhaegar, that I want to focus on. Okay, I hope this is it. The door loomed before her, the red door, so close, so close. The hall was a blur around her, the cold receding behind. Now the stone was gone, and she flew across the Dothraki Sea, high and higher, the green rippling beneath, and all that lived and breathed fled in terror from the shadow of her wings. She could smell home, she could see it there, just beyond the door. Green fields and great stone houses and arms to keep her warm, there. She threw open the door. The dragon. And saw her brother Rhaegar mounted on a stallion as black as his armor. Fire glimmered red through the narrow eye slit of his helm. The last dragon, Sir Jorah's voice was profanely. The last, the last. Danny lifted his polished black visor. The face within was her own.
Darth Vader.
Stormborn makes me think of Alice as well, seeing things in storm clouds.
Hmm.
And has, as you can see, she physically sees herself as him directly after she opens the red door, which we know is a massive mystery about her past. She's literally unlocking and opening her past here, and she saw Rhaegar, who becomes herself. Not only this, but this whole dream vision of hers occurs while she herself is giving birth to Rhaego, named after Rhaegar himself. She sees herself as him while she's giving birth to the person she wants to be, him, reborn. It's all there, so clear. Right? It's Darth Vader, dude. You don't even say it. Anyway, Rhaegar is tied to the secret of the house at the Red Door, and this goes back to births, and more specifically, Dany's own. Rhaego failed to come into the world from Dany, but Dany didn't fail to come into the world from Rhaegar. Which actually, if we got back to one of the Rhaegar dumps in Dany's story we already covered, we quote the full part of it this time, we see this very thing. Rubies flew like drops of blood from the chest of a dying prince, and he sank to his knees in the water, and with his last breath murmured a woman's name. Mother of dragons, daughter of death. Oh, fuck. He said Dany.
Yeah.
I always thought there was no question it was Lyanna. No, there's a question. It's deliberately ambiguous not because it's whether it's Elia or Lyanna. It's because whether it's Dany or Lyanna. Okay, sorry.
Did he say Dany or does he say
Daenerys or something? Now remember, all the specifics get changed to generalities in those visions, right? She calls it a rose later, but during the time of the vision, it's a flower, right?
A blue flower, right.
So when she's recalling it later, she knows the details. When in the moment, he deliberately changes the detail to be general,
right,
as part of it being a dream.
Right.
And it's deliberately ambiguous. And I always assumed it was deliberately ambiguous because he didn't want to give away Lyanna versus Elia, but it's actually ambiguous because he doesn't want to give away Lyanna versus Dany.
Now, Rhaegar probably is not a dreamer. Most of the information he got were from scrolls and the Ghost of Highheart. Right. So a lot of his information, because the Ghost of Highheart is pretty spot on. So he had, instead of it being Visenya as his first daughter, he did Rhaenyra, right?
Rhaena.
Okay, whatever. I can't remember her name. And then, so the last Valborn should have started with a V. But he might have gotten the name from the Ghost of Highheart, Daenerys. And Lyanna knows that we're looking for a girl to complete the 3 heads of the dragon, and her name is Daenerys. So when Dany's born, she names her Daenerys, and that is the name that is on his lips when he dies.
Yeah, that's not where he's going here. Actually, he's going with this idea that she's daughter of death, right as she sees him dying. So she's the daughter of death here. Dany's literally called the daughter of death after showing her how Rhaegar died. Dany's mother Rhaella died giving birth to her, and thus that could be how she's like the daughter of death. But the name daughter of death coming right after Rhaegar's own death makes it much clearer who the death was. Rhaegar's, not Rhaella's, as it was Rhaegar, not Rhaella, she just saw die. And if she's the daughter of death, and Rhaegar's the one who died, and she's his daughter. Oh, that's really good. I like that. And secondly,
I went the same way you went with it, and I didn't even see where.
I didn't see where it was going, where Mark was going. Yeah, and secondly, and directly tied to that last point, there's the other house of the Undying vision, where Rhaegar looks directly right at Dany and then says, "There must be one more." He has a song, the man replied. He is the prince that was promised, and his is the song of ice and fire. He looked up when he said it, and his eyes met Dany's, and it seemed as if he saw her standing there beyond the door. There must be one more, he said. But whether he was speaking to her or the woman in the bed, she could not say. The dragon has 3 heads. He went to the window seat, picked up a harp, and ran his fingers lightly over its silvery strings. Sweet sadness filled the room as man and wife and babe faded like the morning mist, only the music lingering behind to speed her on her way. He looks right at her and he says, "There must be one more." It doesn't get much clearer. Dany's Rhaegar's daughter. So then, who's her mother if Rhaegar's her father? Well, the first option I'm going to present is a Chardonnay, and let's stop there because we're at time, and I gotta go today.
Okay, no
Daughter
problem.
born of war,
Heads up,
death too.
the song that makes Lyanna cry at Harrenhal is the Song of Ice and Fire that he plays there. But yeah, I got to go too. Yeah, it's good stuff. I like the little tangents we did.
Yeah,
Joining
yeah,
us today.
yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I like this one.
I'm seeing new stuff here that we didn't catch in all of our stuff going over it. Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime I get new stuff, I'm happy. But
absolutely.
We're doing what Friday?
Tyrion 2.
Tyrion 2. Okay. All right. Sample chapters for Wynn's Tyrion 2 review on Friday. Thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate it. And
of the three heads is human blood, God's blood plus demon blood. Oh, God's blood, demons, God's blood, human blood, and demon blood, basically. Interesting. Okay. Human blood, God's blood, demon blood. Okay. Interesting.
I like that.
All right.
I wonder if that's what Euron needs in that little thing that he's doing.
Interesting.
All right. Anyway. Thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a good one, and bye. Bye, Richard.
Have a good one.